I get my timer on as well. Namaste. Thank you for the opportunity. So yes, in Hinduism, we do. There is scriptural evidence for end of the world, and it happens when there is decay of dharma or righteousness in the world. My fellow speakers last month, I think, had talked about the cyclical nature of Hindu cosmology and time. So there is no finite end of the world, but there is like end of a certain phase followed by the beginning of the next. So the world goes through many cycles with varying degrees of good versus evil, order versus chaos. Eventually, after millions of those cycles, eventually matter dissolves and then it reboots again. So there is really no end as such, but each period has an end. And I think that's what we're referring to here. So in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the most revered of the Indian Hindu scriptures, God in the form of Krishna advises his friend, Prince Arjuna, that whenever there is decay of dharma and rise of adharma, which is the opposite of dharma, and I'll explain what dharma means, then I am born in this world. So dharma is one of the most important words that really defines Hinduism. And unfortunately, it doesn't have a single English word that can really capture its essence. A rough meaning, as I mentioned earlier, is righteousness or virtue. It can also mean law, custom, one's duty, one's purpose in life. These could all be part of the word dharma itself. It comes from the Sanskrit root word dhri, which means to support or maintain. That gives you some idea of what it's trying to imply. It has been described even in the some of the most ancient Hindu scriptures, and the most important one, the Vedic texts, that dharma is something that brings order to a universe that would otherwise be in chaos. Dharma refers to actions most conducive to maintaining society. And at the sort of equally important but lower level, the like maintaining the family, and all this starts at the individual level. So dharma starts at the individual. It's like righteous individuals with good morals that are able to bring about a stable family environment, which in turn helps to foster a thriving society. So whatever big ideas we are talking about, ultimately it boils down to the individual and how the individual behaves in the society. And if that doesn't happen at the individual level, if there is no dharma at the individual level, then the society will be in chaos. And the dharma can vary from person to person, from culture to culture, from place to place, from time period to time period. And there are certain things that we can all agree on, like nonviolence, truthfulness. But there is some finesse to how each individual defines his own dharma as a student or as a son or a parent. And sometimes they can be in conflict. So that requires a lot of self-reflection. The current age is called the Kali Yuga, which is literally translated as age of darkness. And I'll quote with this and then stop. In one of the Hindu scriptures, the Bhagavatam, it says, in Kali Yuga, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory, all these good qualities will diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. And in the Hindu scriptures, it's written that God will incarnate in Kali Yuga in a human form named Kalki, to save the world from destruction and bring about order. Keep in mind, this is not the final Kali Yuga. This is not the first Kali Yuga. It keeps cycling again and again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bijay. Let's give him a round of applause for his answer. Just to clarify, Mr. Bijay, then, in a sense, then, there will be no end to... I think the last sentence that you said really caught my attention, where it says there is no actual end to the Kali Yuga. It's just going to continue forever, and Kali Yuga is just a process of the cycle.
So there is end of the disorder, end of the negativity and end of adharma that is going on in the world, which is again in line with, people are thinking about peace and trying to foster these things. These are movements that kind of help to foster that. So that will end. The negativity, the destruction, the disarray will end, and then it starts again. So the next yuga is Satya Yuga, which is much more virtuous.
I see. I guess for just a personal question for this one is that essentially it's just a part of life. Would that be accurate? That this deterioration and then enlightenment, for lack of better words, it's just something that will repeat again and again and again. So essentially, it's just a normal phase, I would say.
It is normal in a sense, but as individuals, humans are not expected to be hapless bystanders. You have a role to play. So that is why there is importance of this dharma, and it's at the individual level. So whatever is happening in the world, whether it is peace, war, pollution, any kind of things, even at the individual level, even if it's very small, you can do something to make a difference, is what that is saying. That is, yes, it is part of nature that these things will happen, but you have to take a stand to make the positive changes happen, because God is really within yourself. Divinity is really within the individual beings. And so you have a responsibility to act.
I see. And then, because this was actually a follow-up question that I had intended for you, Mr. Bijay, then for the individual who needs to act within Hinduism, just once again, it's because the time period is just so long. It was about 2 point something billion years. If I'm just trying to, I could be wrong. Is there like an exact time? Once again,
so Kali Yuga is 432,000 years.
I see.
It's supposed to have started around 3000 BC. So there are 4 parts. So there is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the smallest one. It is 1/10 of the whole Yuga cycle.
I see.
The total cycle is 4.32 million years.
I see.
But then it, starts again.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for butchering that. But but still, in the person's perspective, 432,000 years is a really, really long time. So what I could see is maybe people may not see the most importance that, even though this is the dark era, it's a dark era of darkness. Do you possibly see people not taking much importance that it's a dark era? And for example, it's a need to act. I need to act as an individual to come out of this dark era, but it's 432,000 years. Is there something that a believer in Hinduism must do? Like, what are some actions that, for example, you would teach a person within your religious community? What must you do now that you are in this dark era that will last for this long period of time, and why is it significant?
So what you're saying, if I got your question right, the insignificance, is that what you're like of this, because the time scale is so big? Is that what you're trying to ask? Or
no. So as for me, so for just a hypothetical situation, if a person says, "Oh my goodness, we're in the dark era,
right,
we need to do something about it," but it's 432,000 years, so maybe it's a possibility that a person might not feel like their actions will contribute to a change because it's a set time anyways. It's only going to last for this long. So if I do something or don't do something, will it really speed up the process? That's not necessarily true. Will it slower the process? That's not necessarily true. Then how is a person's actions significant within that to make that change? And what are some actions that person can do?
So very good question. So yes, the time scales are big. But ultimately, what you have in your control is your life, your body, your breath, your thoughts, your life. And that is kind of part of this cosmic structure that we are living in. And the goal of human life, I don't know how much time I have, in Hinduism is moksha or liberation. And the individual Atma, which is almost translated as soul, but a little more than that, but let's use the word soul for now. The soul is part of the divine. It's part of the creator. And the creator and the creation are one. And so within every individual being, the energy of the creator resides. And the goal of human life, individual human life, is to strive towards that moksha, to liberate yourself. And the world that you live in, yes, there is all this going on, but your goal is also to liberate yourself. So all these challenges that you're facing in the world is a way that you can advance yourself spiritually. And that is the way to look at it.
I see. Thank you so much. That clears up a lot of things. Mr. Bijay Nair, for question number 2. Would that be okay?
Yep.
Okay.
So in Hinduism, I think the answer for the second one is also boils down to basically the concept of dharma and adharma. But I'll quote a few scriptural, verses and explain it in a little bit more detail. So, according to Hindu scriptures, God will incarnate in times of decadence to save humanity from destruction. And what is expected of the individual is to stay on the path of dharma. One of the most important Hindu texts, you probably know, is Bhagavad Gita. And the essence of Bhagavad Gita is basically how to live in this corrupt world. How do you conduct yourself as an individual in this corrupt world? And the gist of it is basically to follow dharma. But that is the difficult part, and to know what it is and to be able to follow it. So there are a few verses that I think will give you all an idea of what Bhagavad Gita is saying in this regard. So as you know, Bhagavad Gita is a poem. Literally, it means divine poem. And it's instructions given by Krishna, that is God in a human form, to his friend Prince Arjuna. So in chapter 4, Krishna says, for the protection of good and the destruction of evil, and for the establishment of dharma, I am born from age to age. Assuring us that God will surely save the world from destruction, but that doesn't mean that we get to sit on the sidelines and just watch things. Krishna urges us to act, and I'll quote a few verses that kind of explains that. So how a person should conduct himself in these difficult times. So this is from chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. A person has the right towards action alone and not towards the fruit of action. And this is something that I think you can relate to in life. Let not the fruit of action be the motive for acting. And this is, again, really important. Sometimes if you focus too much on the goal or the fruit of the action, you either get very disillusioned quickly, give up. So it's better to focus on why you're doing it in the first place and just focus on that and keep at it. Also, let there not be any attachment to inaction. So as God said earlier in form of Krishna, that yes, things will correct and get better, but it doesn't mean that you can be lazy and not do anything. Another verse I would like to quote here is far better to perform, and this is a little, I think it requires a little bit of explanation. If I have time later and if I have questions, we'll get to that. It is far better to perform one's own dharma, though tinged with faults, than to perform another's dharma, though perfectly. In fact, it is preferable to die in the discharge of one's dharma than to follow the path of another, which is fraught with danger. Basically meaning that you need to think for yourself, figure out with inner, self-reflection and knowledge what your purpose in life is, what your dharma is, and to pursue that with every inch of energy that you have within you, and not just follow somebody blindly, whatever be the case. And there are lots of examples of bad things happening when somebody just follows another's dharma. Wars being a major genocides. I think I might be running out of time, so I'm going to quote one more and then I can stop. Dharma here means sacred duty or highest purpose of one's life. Krishna reminds Arjuna that as a warrior, prince, and soldier, his dharma is to fight for justice and protect the kingdom. Basically meaning that, yes, if you're a soldier, if that's what you signed up for, your job is to fight and protect. You can't, go somewhere into the battlefield and all of a sudden get scared and then say, oh, now I'm just going to lay my weapons and give up. So I think some of these things may need more explanation. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bijay. Let's give him a round of applause for his answer. I thought it was very well explained, Mr. Bijay. For in the time of the Kali Yuga, follow your dharma. Need to be the one who acts accordingly rather than following someone else's dharma. Follow your own. And I think it was, and of course that's on a whole different route of searching for that, I believe, and finding out what that is and chasing after. But thank you.